All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hear Me Out Pitch, or if this is your first time, welcome to Hear Me Out Pitch. I don't know why this is the episode you would start with, but if it is, cool. I'm Tim.
And I'm Willem.
And yeah. So, again, if this is the first episode you're starting with, I don't know why, you're going to want to go listen to our most recent episode first.
Still getting work done. It's still getting work done right now. So you know what? I will say it's a lot of yammering in that one. And I'm not taking it all away. I'm like, you know what? Mm-hmm. They're gonna get just a rough. They're gonna get the raw footage of us yammering. Yeah, it'll be good. So, but I'm excited because I think we have a good solid episode laid out. We haven't had like a solid game plan for an original story in a bit. We've done this a few times. We're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And we're excited. So last week, really quick, if you all are not going to listen to the yammering episode, please do. Maybe. We were discussing about traders, and we came up with a really rough draft of an idea of a village, of a story of two kingdoms separated by just each have some Dr. Seuss crap. They're just separated by one small difference. One kingdom has antlers, one kingdom has tails. Super simple like that.
I will say this. This is not intentionally a play on the racism issue at all. It was unintentional. I don't think that's what we wanted from this.
I just thought like Dr. Seuss. But yeah. I guess people could get, I don't know.
It's unintentional.
It's unintentional. But like all good stories, you can take lessons from it any way you want. So take from it what you will. But again, this is even more of a rough draft. That's what we do here. We make up stories. We come up with better versions of stories we didn't like. And this week we're kind of hoping to come up with a story about just differences, and I'm just gonna stop yammering. So I'll let you kind of.
Well, again, if you haven't listened to our most recent episode, I don't know. I don't know why you haven't. Go listen to it. What we're about to talk about will make tons more sense.
Bless you. I don't know. Whatever. I say you're coughing. You're dying. I hope you're blessed. Thanks. And don't die.
Okay.
Anyway.
Basically, the story that we wanted to pitch was kind of a play on the trope of the traitor.
Yeah.
And kind of the unknowing traitor, right? There are stories where someone is ostracized and they don't know why. And we're kind of playing into that a little bit. Our main character, I could not think of a name that would fit at all. But our main character is the son of the two leaders of these two different kingdoms. These two different kingdoms, just quick recap. These two different kingdoms are at war. One of them have antlers, almost like an antler crown is what I've been imagining. And then the other, they have tails. Like a lion's tail.
Yeah, lion's tails. That's kind of what I was thinking. That's not true. Originally, it was like typical like devil's tails, like the traditional devils you see in all the artwork. But then when you said lion, I'm like that would work a lot better. Mm-hmm. And I will say that this king and queen that we wanted to have this child. They are supposed to be the happy ending of Romeo and Juliet. We were going to have a quick recap of star-crossed lovers and what would happen to Romeo and Juliet if they ran away, what would really have happened? And would someone have divided them in the way? Or what would have happened if Romeo and Juliet lived and fallen apart and went back to their families and went into an all-out war against each other? How tragic that would be, even more, instead of just dying. And I wanted them to have this child that would be, that they know that they would have it, and we would have the beginning scene of them all being together and happy. And at one point, I want there to be 3 points of interest in this story. The mother thinking it's the father's fault the child was gone. The father thinking it's the mother's fault that the child is gone. And then the child thinking he was completely abandoned and not knowing who his parents were. And all of that is going to be caused by a single character. So we'll just leave that there.
Those of you who have read enough stories similar to this will already kind of have figured it out, but we haven't even introduced the character yet. And we did mention it last episode. We did talk about it.
Yeah.
But again, if this is your first episode, or if you've skipped to this one and skipped last one, then it's a surprise for a little bit. I did come up with, and these can be placeholder names, I don't care. But for the 2 groups,
okay.
The antlerine, the antlers.
Yeah, I got it.
And then the tailith.
Okay. I like it. It's cheesy. It's
really
fine.
cheesy.
And I like it for placeholder names. I am fine working with
we don't have to actually call them that. We can find something
I like different. It. I think for the time being, it's fine. Again, we want to make up this story, just rough draft, have fun discussion and what we could do. And you're right. We've seen this story many times, Romeo and Juliet. And I've always wondered just what would happen if they had that happy ending just for a brief time. And I would want them to show, like, it's the Tarzan's parents in the beginning of the movie. They're like running away, they're happy, but then I would want to have almost, I just would want scenes of the viziers, and I'm going to quote unquote say viziers. You know, one vizier comes up to the mother, who is part of the Tailith kingdom. Is that how you say it? Tailith? And then one vizier comes to the father, and I just want them to start spreading rumors. So my question is, how would the baby be? How would he disappear? What would he just be taken by the mysterious middle group because he's not the only one of his kind, or is he going to be given by his parents? What were you thinking about it?
I was kind of thinking that it would be almost like a Frozen situation where maybe the dad has custody for a little bit, and then he's like, no, the baby needs to be with his mother, sends the baby to live with the mother, to be with the mother, and then this mysterious third group that would be the vizier would come in, snatch the baby on the way, kill everybody else, and escape, taking the baby to that third group. Not really a kingdom, more like a small village,
nomadic group.
Yeah.
So they're just in the middle because, again, they can sneak around.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of thinking of I want to think he's lured away, and then he becomes an Aladdin, a street rat of sorts, and he goes in between the 2 kingdoms.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
And I don't want him to run into this third kingdom until later. Because right now I want him to think he's one of the only ones, and I want it to be revealed, like, I don't know, because how would you hide your horns? Is he just going to cut them off? Is he going to shave them off? How would he?
I've been imagining that they have some semblance of like an illusion type magic, where they can just make certain people can make themselves look how they want. And some of those people could be like, that they could be used in, assassinations, being spies, etc. And so I would imagine he has that magic.
Which species do you think would have the magic to do that?
I think both.
You think both?
I think both.
I think it would be funny if one had the illusory, could make yes, that word, and then what could be a opposite? Because again, I feel like they don't like each other, so it'd be cool if he had both. Like the sky high type moments. And I know I quote movies and books and stories, but I like those things. I see connections in them, and that's why I share them. So I hope you guys are like, geez, he always has to steal from other stories. Well, we do that as humans. Just saying.
And how many of you quote your favorite movies?
All the time. All the time. I do.
In fact, on my way up here today, my wife asked me to stop and get the mail on my way home, and I said, "As you wish."
Boo. I'm just kidding. It's fine. I'm so happy for you. It's fine. Anyway, that was I actually was wiping something away. I'm not taking that out, but you can laugh at that. I just realized which finger I used. I honestly don't use my pointer finger to wipe away my eyes. That's funny. Probably because of whatever. Quiet. Y'all get to keep that one for free. If you were to have an opposite of illusory magic, what would you think it would be? Because illusory would be, I would think that it's more of the tail people. I don't know why. That's just what it fits in my head.
Looking at it as, dungeon master, right?
Okay.
D&D magic.
Nerd.
Looking at it with the eyes of a dungeon master, I would think that, illusion magic is pretty common to a point. There's minor illusion, there's programmed illusion, etc. There's a bunch of spells that are basically just big illusions. And then there's other spells that are able to detect that. True Sight is a spell that it gives you the ability to see through illusions. It allows you to see into the ethereal plane, which best way I can describe the ethereal plane is what Frodo sees when he puts on the ring. That's kind of how the world would be, I guess. And then there's other spells like detect magic that you're able to detect magic, and you're able to detect what kind of magic it is. Maybe not the direct spell, but this is an evocation spell, meaning this is going to deal damage, or this is illusion magic, or conjuration, this is summoning magic, all of that kind of stuff. So there are ways to do it. I don't know if I necessarily want the other race to be a perfect counter to that, because then it makes the one obsolete. Maybe
not perfect. So what if, because of the breeding, that is what makes the illusory magic? Maybe it's only this subspecies, and that's why they're able to hide so much. So because it's a perfect just combination, maybe one magic is more, maybe they're more flowers, and the other kingdom is more, I don't know, just inanimate objects.
Here's what we could do.
Okay.
That third group doesn't exist outside of the cities. They are in the cities. They all have... I kind of like the interbreeding creating that new, creating the abominations, the horns and tails.
I just imagine I don't want there to be like that many. I don't want this to be.
No, I don't want there to be a ton, but I think they've gotten so good at what they do that they are able to hide in plain sight. And there are a handful of them, and I think our main character could know a few. And almost Aladdin style, right? Except instead of coming back to Abu, he's coming back to a small group of 3 or 4 others of these mixed,
or maybe even just other outcasts from each one. Maybe I want the audience to have the feeling that this character is shunned on, but I want like when they see him, they know that he can't, like, and he makes his little illusions, and they realize like, oh, it's the, and I want them to call him the traitor. The little traitor, the little one who, he's not of us, but he is, that exact feeling. I want them to, when he's like trying to grab something and they pull off his jacket and his tail, like they grab his tail, and when he's in the Antler Kingdom or something, or maybe they have a banquet, a contest like Olympics, and they have sporting events, and he's trying to break his way in and through that. Maybe he's...
I actually had a thought, because world building, you want to introduce fun activities that your characters can enjoy.
Quidditch,
I've
all that.
Been thinking, what if we did some sort of like crown wrestling, where it's you've got your antlers, and it's just they're used the way that antlers are used in the wild, where they bash their heads together. Have you ever seen those videos of like moose fighting? Yeah. I'm imagining something like that. Or
do any of these people have ram type horns, or do you imagine they all just have that crown? So they are more of a wrestling type people. They butt heads, and I can imagine that their horns lock up and they will pick each other up. Like, I imagine they're huge, like the two toughest of them, or
maybe not like just straight up picking them up, but like doing.
Oh no, they're using their arms and head to lift.
I actually imagined a scene, right?
Okay,
our main character. This could be one of the. This could be the scene where he's revealed as tailed.
Okay. As tailed. I love it.
And he's got his crown locked in with another, and they're wrestling, and it can be like this underground wrestling thing. They don't want everybody to know that it's happening, but they're going, and our main character can kind of jump a little. Maybe he's a little bit smaller than the other guy he's fighting, but he jumps onto the guy's legs and kicks off and does kind of this cool backflip over the other guy and just takes the other guy down and unlocks their horns. And he just kind of lands, but his tail swings out from under his shirt or something.
Because I told you in the last episode, I imagine that he just wraps it around like a belt, and their warriors will do that too.
Yeah, I'm imagining something like that, and it's just like under his shirt, it's wrapped around him, but it kind of flings out so that he can catch himself. Because a tail on anything is generally used for balance, so that's what he's going to use it for. Like maybe he messed up a little bit and he's got to catch himself, and that his tail just gives him that little bit of extra balance to stay upright. And he catches it. He looks at everybody and he's like, "Crap!" Everybody starts yelling, "Traitor! Yeah!" They start throwing, they start throwing tomatoes and stuff. They start throwing things at him, and he books it. He runs.
I know this is going to be... I've thought of this name for him, and you're going to laugh because it's going to... I want to call him Arby. Hold on. Can you take a good guess of where the name Arby comes from? So you and our good friend Ethan are obsessed with Destiny and Bungie. I'm surprised. It's fine. Arbiter. Because he's going to become the Arbiter. So.
All right.
But I just want to call him that for now, just Arby, so that we just have kind of a name for him. We have the meat. Don't sue us. He's got the tail and the antlers. He's awesome. I love that. I don't
necessarily want him to be an arbiter. I was thinking more, I guess, the tail between the kingdoms. You know, he's the one that brings balance.
The bridge. Avatar.
Yeah.
We call him Aang to be funny.
He's the one that brings balance between the two. I guess. Or harmony between the two.
So how maybe we should kind of do something we've done in the past. And I know that many of you guys, especially if this is newer for you, I love starting, getting a little bit of the beginning and a feel, and then I want to just go straight to the end.
That's a really good way to write your stories. My books that I've been writing, I start with some semblance of a beginning, and then I get the end figured out, and then I work backwards. How did I get there?
Mm-hmm. So what
in the beginning is going to feed and tie up at the end, and that's kind of what we need to do.
Yeah.
What do we have at the crown, and what do we have at the tail?
Yeah.
Of our story.
Oh, boo. Do we want a happy ending with the two kingdoms uniting?
Yes.
And how I want that scene to be the traditional, cheesy, united. Oh my gosh. Like I want either I don't know if it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be like the queen or king. I imagine one of them is over the other. There's a battle that broke out, and one of them is going to deal the fatal blow. You guys can imagine it either way. Either the mother of this boy, the queen of the other kingdom, is over. And nope, I'll ask more questions when we get there.
Here's how I'm thinking it'll end up.
Okay.
The king and the queen will get back together.
So they never got married?
No, I don't think so. I think it was kind of they eloped in secret. Maybe they had a secret wedding.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
That could be kind of cute, kind of Anakin Skywalker style. They've got that secret wedding, whatever that, and then here's how I'm imagining it'll end. I am imagining that the king and the queen will get back together, and they will take over one kingdom because the two kingdoms are too far away. They'll take over one kingdom, and then our main character will take over the other, and they'll have really good communications between the two. It's kind of what I was thinking.
So you don't want them to be an all one kingdom?
Well, think about it this way. In a time where cars don't exist.
Yeah, because how far were we saying? They're like 40 plus miles more.
I was imagining something like between Bountiful and like South Jordan, Harriman area.
Okay. That would have been far back then.
Pretty far. We don't have to go quite that far, but it's kind of what I was thinking. If we really want to make it closer, we could do Bountiful and Farmington.
Yeah.
It's a little closer.
A little bit. I guess you're right. Because it would be weird to like unite them, and I don't want to go too much into their stories because we want to imply that they are part of some whole subspecies every now and then. But for the most part, it's just these two kingdoms, just this small slight difference. I want them to, if you were to take away off the tails and the antlers, they would look the same. And that's the point. It's just silly. Maybe we can have a moment like that when the boy is looking like he stops them from killing each other and say, hey, it doesn't take much to, and he makes his horns disappear, brings his tail out, and then he switches it on them right then and there. It doesn't take a lot for us to look the same. There's not that much
Maybe he does that to a couple of the audience. He's like, look, now you're the same.
Someone just screams in the audience because he just put antlers on a random person.
No, I'm a traitor.
He's gonna be okay. He's gonna be fine. Check on that guy.
She turned me into a newt.
She turned me into a newt.
I got better. Yes.
So what would be the rising conflict, and when are the mother and father going to realize that this child is theirs?
I think that the vizier has been keeping him secret from them.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. Like it's pretty big news in both cities, in both kingdoms, that there's
rumors.
There's rumors of a creature that is both, Antleen or whatever I said it was, and Talon. Hold on, let me look again. Antlerine.
Antlerine. That sounds like some ant. That's like, have you seen Antlerine? She's really great. She's awesome.
Antlerine.
Antlerine coming in. Look at your little cheeks. Yeah. You're like, all right, Antlerine, calm down.
But there's rumors that there's someone who has both antlers and a tail.
That it can happen.
And that it can happen, and that he's been causing problems. But that information is passed to the vizier, and he keeps it to himself. He does not ever tell the king and the queen.
Or do we want to go somewhat darker, or just that it's implied that if those creatures exist, they are either to be exiled or executed?
I was kind of thinking that.
And there'll probably be a chase scene, and then when he gets out of the one kingdom, he's like, don't come back, and he's like, I'll be back next month. What'd you say? Nothing. And he just like kind of walks off. It's kind of an awkward story, an awkward corner we paint ourselves in, because is it really this simple that it's like, oh, we're just gonna have this and it's gonna be a happy ending and blah blah blah? Because the idea of because I kind of gave you the idea of what the Antlerine people would look like, and I was kind of thinking about the Talon, the Talon people, and I imagine that they typically will either go two-handed with their swords, or they'll have a shield, and then their tails will have a blade on the end.
I was actually thinking they weren't prehensile tails. I was thinking they were just balance.
Well, and I want them to have the blade, and they'll swing it around. That's that
kind of tied to the tail instead of gripped.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
it's
not gripped. It's locked on, and they have things that they'll tie it down. Think of what Hiccup tied to Toothless. So I know I quote movies a lot. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
It is our language.
It is. I love stories, so that's the best way I'd describe it. I just imagine a contraption like what Hiccup put on Toothless, and I just imagine that the king and queen are fighting, and he's sitting there like the king is, and I just imagine he's like this lion, almost like deer looking thing. Like he's just huge, broad. Think of like the Disney lions who are humanoid. They're just huge. And I imagine he's just towering over her, and she's amazing. They're both fighting. They're both getting cheeks out of each other, and he's just sitting there with his broadsword, like leaning down on her, kind of grinning. And he's like, says something quirky to the point of like, this is the last time we were this intimate. And then she like flings him off, and I imagine there's like somewhat little banter, and there's like hints of a smile, but they really do want to kill each other here. The point is, I do want that tail sword to just be driven into him. She just is able to swing her tail around, because it is for balance. But if they've practiced and learned to aim it right, I just imagine he just, and it's just in his side. And that's when I imagine the boy would intervene. I've been thinking of him as a boy we've said Aladdin and all these characters to me, so
makes sense to me.
Just a lost princeling, and it's just so sad. I want there to be a few scenes of him just getting the tar beat out of him. He gets caught, and we don't have to see him, but it's the aftermath of him.
We see the bruises. We see him wrapping his arm or something.
And then we see him wandering. I just want a scene of him being exiled from one kingdom, and then when he's walking to the other, he does his magic or does whatever he needs to look like the others, and then walks in there and tries to do it again. And that's how I would want the beginning of the movie to kind of be. Well, at least after we had the whole introduction of his parents. And I would want... I'm starting to really get excited about this. So now we just really got to get to the nit and gritty. Do we want to have a friendly competition between the two kingdoms? Okay, we're trying this. We need to try to get to know one another. And there's rumors that the only reason this is happening is because of the king and queen had a thing. They're
maybe what it is it's been a generations long feud, and that's how the king and queen met, was that battle that you mentioned.
Oh.
And they, kind of the cliche, she stabs him and he kisses her kind of thing, and they fall in love. She nurses him back to health. They're both reported MIA as they've eloped and that kind of thing. And then
what if she never... Ooh! So she never tells him. And then the vizier decides, I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Sure.
No, he lies to her. The baby died in birth.
Ooh.
And so she's alone. She doesn't have anyone comforting her. And he feels rejected in his kingdom. And that's where the resentment slowly leans.
And they've both been trying to send each other messages, but the vizier is going through all of the messages and is only letting through the ones that would spark, anger. He's burning the rest.
I do want the vizier to be the one who's taking care of him, but he doesn't show to him ever. I want the vizier to be the vizier for the mother, the vizier for the father, and then the wizened old crippled man that has been with, and I'm just going to call him Arby. We have the meats. Anyway, that he's just been guiding him and helping him, or at least he just comes in for guidance. And we could maybe have...
He'd be kind of almost like a quirky innkeeper.
Yeah.
That uses his magic to hide.
I was thinking he's going to set the he thinks he's going to set the fuse off with Arby. I'm going with that name. And I want him to make we're going to have a very sad moment where Arby's caretaker is killed. And it was just because, and it was from he wants to set it up that it's royal guards from both sides. So, and those could be either part of it, or he just makes it, I don't know. Now, maybe that's overthinking it. I just want it to be that this would be the point where Arby is, I'm gonna get my revenge on these two kingdoms. I'm gonna spoil everything because he's gonna try to. I don't know. Or am I overthinking it? Or does he want to be hopeful, and does he want to win this friendly tournament of theirs?
I think the hopeful route would be better.
Okay.
I think a friendly tournament would be fun.
And the rumors are, I do like the idea that the rumors are that the king and queen have something.
They have a history.
They have a history that everyone's like, what's the deal? Why would you even attempt to try this? And of course, the viziers have been suggesting this, but so what is the single vizier, the main antagonist, what is his end game. I think we were deciding that it was just so chaos,
Anarchy.
get the two kingdoms, because he is just like Arby, and he was just like Arby. He feels dejected, and
Instead of fixing the problem, he wants to remove the problem altogether, I think. And so maybe during this competition, his goal is to enter Arby and have Arby fight. Maybe not really fight, but like I'm thinking, we do the horns wrestling. We can maybe do like a something similar with the tails.
Oh, and Arby's trying to win both sides.
Almost like a tug of war with the tails. That could be kind of fun. And yeah, Arby's just trying to win both. He's trying to win all sides.
And he has to go.
There'll be
maybe there's schedule conflict.
Yes,
and he's trying to run back and forth. Have that little trope. Okay,
and I think.
But what would stink is,
we couldn't do that because if it's competition between kingdoms, if we do the tail wrestling, that's just inter-kingdom, and
they're finding their top person to battle, and Arby's going to win both. And then when it's time for the two people to meet, he's going to walk up in his little cloak and go, "It's me.
I'm both.
Bofa. Just got you." And that's when the vizier can kind of whisper. I don't know how he would do this. This would probably be how he would have help. We would see both viziers are there. Both viziers are there somehow. They're probably cloaked, respectively. One has antlers, one has the tail, and they immediately whisper to the king and queen, "Whoa, this person, this is a traitor species. This is a traitor, and you all know the law. Exile." Who was?
I think execution.
Execution, but no. Exile to the creature. But then, because it doesn't know any better, and he did because he won. They're like, you know what, he won, but consequences must be paid. Kill the guardian, and they'll kill his.
Okay.
They'll kill his mentor, hang him or something. They'll hang him, and both the king and queen are kind of sitting there awkwardly, like, one could be, no, don't let him kill him, because it's probably, what species do we want the caretaker to be? We know that it's the vizier pretending, but which kingdom is trying to be like, no, don't hang him?
Maybe he's got neither.
His tail got cut off. Or
maybe he was both, and then he had both. And then when he was young, he had both of them. He had his tail cut off and his horns cut down. So he was left identity free, kind of as a freak. And all of, both kingdoms they didn't see him as a traitor. They saw him as a freak,
I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking, is that he pulls out his tail and he begs the queen, don't let him kill me, I'm one of your citizens. And that's kind of where the division will start.
Okay.
Because originally maybe he was thinking, I'll do it myself and do this whole thing, but I think it'll be better if maybe I don't know how we'd make this a three-way thing. I think that would be the big reveal, is there's other people like him and they're trying to take down both kingdoms, tear them down, sneak in. Again, we only want maybe a dozen or so of these creatures, including Arby. I like Arby more. I'm going with Arby. No, it's Arby.
Arby is one of the characters in Maze Runner.
I've never watched it. I just want there to be a catalyst, and the king, and this is the big catalyst of. Maybe they have
the king's upset because the queen's kingdom has been harboring the traitor.
So they're visiting the Talon
I think they've set up kind of an Olympics style
in the middle
area in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's why it's been so special. It's like, and it's on like the eve of the queen wanted to do it on like the eve of, I mean, the day of the kid's birthday. Yes, that's cheesy, but
yeah.
She like, why'd you pick that day? No reason. And he's like, okay, whatever. Jeez, women, am I right? The vizier's in the corner like stupid. Or do we want that the law is the law is that the two parents must be brought forth, and they are also exiled. And then the vizier's like, ha, gotcha.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on
It's
you.
the king and queen. Maybe that happens at the end. Maybe Arby comes in again and tries to, he tries to get an audience with both the king and the queen together to explain, hey, look, we're not that different. He's been giving this speech to everybody. He needs to give it to the king and queen now. And, hey, we're not really that different. You take away our crowns and tails and we're all exactly the same, kind of thing. And the vizier is like, the law. He trespassed. You both agreed that this traitor and his next of kin would be executed. Joke's on you. You're the next of kin. This is your kid. Between the two of you, this is the crown prince. But the law. You're not exempt from the law, kind of thing. There's there could be a fight, something. And maybe the king and queen realize what's going on, and they're like, we made a mistake. We got to get out of here. And, the vizier stops them. Like, I've been playing you both from the beginning. This is going to ruin the kingdoms. It'll be anarchy. And our kind, and he kind of motions to Arby, our kind will be free to live normal lives, and you will be the scum. And then we can have this fight, and then we could do the whole Hamlet thing where
okay. I don't
want to kill anybody.
Okay.
Except the vizier. The vizier will die fighting. I think fighting Arby. The vizier will die, and
it could be the move. He could do the final move that exposed him in
the horn lock thing. They could totally. Here's what we could do. We have the horn lock. They're in armor. They've also got swords. They're fighting, and then they disarm each other, and then they do the horn lock, and they're wrestling. And the viziers, I'm much older than you. I'm much more experienced than you. And Arby's like, yeah, but I'm younger and I'm far more agile. And I'm the crown prince. And he yeets him out the window of the tower where he falls to his death, kind of thing.
I could see that. I could see that a lot.
I think it would be epic. I think it would be really cool. And I think it would kind of finish out. It would show that. It would show that what's being taught on the streets has practical use, kind of thing, and kind of ties the beginning to the end.
Yeah, so we want that fight to be at the beginning. That's how we're going to introduce Arby.
Yes.
That's how we're going to introduce that he's different. We're going to introduce him leaving. So that means
Big Hero 6 style. We'll start the movie with the fight.
Yeah. But we want him. I do imagine that while he's trying to do that move, the antler guy will grab his tail Actually, he's going to do it successfully. You're right. And then lands. And then the guy gets up kind of groggily and grabs his tail. Look at this. And then they beat the ever living crap out of him and they throw him out.
Against the wall, they kick him, leave him for dead.
Yeah. Or he just makes it out alive. He probably just runs out of here.
He's thrown into a door. The door swings open.
And while they chase him, but the second he gets out of the kingdom, they stop and they're like, the law. If they're exiled, so when he's out, he's like, "We better not see you ever again, traitor." And you're like, "Whoa, see you next month." And he pulls out the big sack of coins, and they're like, and he just starts breaking it, and they're like, "Should we go after him?" And he goes, "No, I don't know. I'm liking it. I'm liking it."
And then we can fill the middle with some fun, fluffy stuff that it'll take up a little bit of time. We'll build some story.
When is he going to learn about his parents? That's one thing I really want.
I think during the contest. No, I think at the end. He'll find out.
How?
When the vizier is like, the law, and joke's on you, he's your kid. I've been playing you both from the beginning.
Maybe when he is... Maybe his... Okay. Maybe he is captured and his guardian doesn't appear. And when he's in prison, he's tied up, and the king and queen before the king and queen show up, because they want to talk to because technically he is the champion and they need to both, by law, they need to see this boy. I think I want the queen to kind of have an inkling. Mm-hmm. I want the queen to have a feeling, but the dad has no idea at all.
Okay.
But I just imagine a scene. They have chains around his tail. They have chains around his antlers. He's pinned up, just, I don't know. You can imagine it. He's in the middle of the room type thing. And he's full on chained, and you see the door open, and his mentor walks in, hobbles in. And I would want it to be one of those intense moments, just give me I don't know, what would be a gruff funny. You can just call him Pa, just some cute, guardian name, Pa, get me out of here. How'd you get in here? Get me out of here. And he goes, "Oh, it's really painful." He goes, "What?" "It's really painful when you get attached. I am so sorry." And he's straightening his back, and he goes, "What's the deal?" He goes, I need to be honest with you, RB. You are not one of a kind. I'm sorry." He goes, "What?" "You're not one of a kind." And then his antlers can start growing from the illusory magic, and the tail comes out, and he stands up straight. "Oh, that's much better." And he goes, "What? Are you my dad?" "No. Just starts laughing at him. "No. Have you seen my dad?" Just that kind of moment. "You see my dad?" "You're not my dad." "You're not my dad. Say something." Anyway, but then I would want the two viziers to come in, and they also take off their robes, and they look just like him. He goes, I'm sorry, my boy. It's just how it's...
Maybe the faces kind of... The illusions on the faces of the two viziers kind of peel off.
Mm-hmm. And he goes,
to reveal two very different looking people.
And they hand him their cloaks, and he holds both. And he's like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "I'm both of the viziers. Been for a long time." And we could get a quick little crybaby story about him. He goes, You're lucky you had someone. I didn't. Many of us didn't. And I'm sorry that you had to be the one to sacrifice, but it's just so perfect, and I can't wait to see their faces." "What do you mean?" "Your mom and dad." "My mom and dad? Have you ever noticed that you have a little bit more magic than everyone else? Have you noticed how much luck you have? Your antlers are so prominent. Yeah, well, that's just because I'm awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah, because you told me I'm awesome, right? And just lucky. Like, no, my boy. You are the illegitimate son of the king and queen. And I know we have to like give them names. And I know that when we say king and queen, everyone's probably thinking, but they're different kingdoms. Shut up. We know that. Have you ever wondered why the two royal families never got married? Do you know why? They fell in love at a great battle. It was disgusting. Oh. I don't know, but that's what I imagine for the big reveal for him. And do we want? I want after that. I want the mom to. I want his mother to come in. I want the queen to have this like pit in her stomach somehow. I want there just to be a scene. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, and maybe it should be a reveal. But ooh, the vizier will do his. She's gonna come visit, and he's gonna try to talk to her, but then the vizier will appear out of nowhere, and he'll convince him like he's lying. He's just he's obviously lying. Why would you ever trust one of their kind? And you're like, oh, but you're one of them, is you? Oh.
Maybe he does that. Maybe he convinces the queen that before he reveals to Arby that he's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Then Arby doesn't have any leverage against him.
Mm-hmm. Or there's just a frantic knock at the door, and the two, and he just puts on the cloak of the queen for the queen's kingdom. He grows his tails out, his horns go away. The two other guards stand up straight. They grow their horns out. They wrap their tails, and they just turn into guards. They've just gotten so good with again, because only they can do the illusory magic. I really like that.
Yeah.
So what would anyway, we'll think about that later. I think it would be cute, just knocking at the door, like a pounding at the door, and they're like, "Who?" And he has to say, and he doesn't know which voice to do because you don't know. And he says, "Who's at the door?" Like just some like, "Who interrupts?" And he goes, "The queen," blah blah blah, of the Talon queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he'd be like, "Oh, perfect. Let's see what she wants," and he. Does all that. They change. She comes in and she just wants, and she gets a good hard look, and she looks at him, and she looks at the vizier, goes, "Doesn't he look just like him? Look at his face." And she like I don't know if you've seen 17 again, but yeah. She grabs his face. "You look just like my husband." Like I've been picturing that scene at some point, and Arby's just like, "This is weird. Who are you?" He's like, and Arby can, and he's like, and he could just say, "Look, they have illusory magic. They can make themselves change. They can do whatever. This could not even be his real face. This could be his plan of the whole time." And then I want the king to come up, and that would be the awkward moment. Just bam, 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 bam. Who's at the door? The king. And you just see the vizier face go, "Ooh," because I don't know. I feel like I'm just making crap up now. I want more interactions between the king and queen. I want there to be a moment between all four of our main points, like a cut, like just one time. And the first time they all are together in the movie, that's going to be the catalyst of going to war. So, but now the question is, he wouldn't be able to have a vizier at that moment, and that could be a question the king brings up. Is where is he says the name of his vizier. I have no idea where he is, and we see the vizier acting as the mother's vizier go, "What a terrible vizier to not be there for his king. How dare he?" And you see Arby and right before he says anything, you just see his hand go above him. "Don't listen to him, my lord." That'd be so funny. or Arby just starts laughing when the vizier says it. "Oh, what a terrible vizier he must be." And Arby just like mocking laugh. I don't know. That's just the thing I want.
Yeah.
I want that to be the catalyst. I don't know if it would just because the mother and the father are arguing about what to do with Arby, and just they're going to let him go. He should be executed. Or the fight. Oh. Okay. The argument not revealed, but that will be revealed to the father that they did have a child. And the vizier has to kind of smooth talk his way out of it. But I can imagine that now that it is revealed that she actually did have a kid, would be heartbreaking.
Maybe both the king and the queen now are like, oh.
Well, I would imagine that he gets kind of mad, and tensions are hot. It's their kingdoms are kind of warring, and when it's reveals like you had child and you never told me, like, well, you left me, you didn't want me there, and it's like, yes, I did. And it's like, oh, what could we have done with this child? And then that's when the vizier's just sitting there like eating popcorn, like, yeah, do all the work for me. And Arby's just watching. He's got his mouth covered by some contraption because they're not allowed to speak.
He's got a gag.
Yeah. And I think that could be the catalyst. They could even like start fighting, and then the guards come in and it starts getting weird, and they're like, all right, this is happening. Fight music. We're going. Sorry, that was too good. I've been imagining them wearing blue and red this whole time, like the Jets and the Sharks.
Fair enough.
No, now my question though to you is, who would be red and who would be blue in your mind? I want to see if we're on the same wavelength. Are we wearing? Oh, I thought I was wearing red for a second. That'd be funny.
I would imagine the king's wearing blue.
Oh, I was the opposite. I had him wearing red. And then I had them wearing more like blue because they're more like hunched over. But you know, either way, I think we've kind of covered many of the main points. I think we've brought up a lot of fun, quirky moments.
Yeah,
I think this would be pretty fun. And I don't know, is there any other scene that you're like, I would want this so bad? Is there anything else that you were like, this scene to me is and must?
No, I mean just the wrestling bit with the crowns.
That was a lot of fun. I think that's really cool.
I would want this to be animated old Disney style, you know, like Sword in the Stone or.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that because I've been.
That's what I've been imagining, and you know, what's her name? The captain in Treasure Planet.
I watched that on Sunday, and I feel so bad because I always forget her name. I know. She's just the captain. Yeah. She's captain. I'm not going to call her any other title. She's just awesome. She's the captain.
Her name. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm imagining these people look a little bit like, they all look a little bit like her, but with crowns or tails.
I've imagined the king looks a lot like... I've been imagining him as Lionheart from Robin Hood, or if you want to think of more Zootopia, the mayor, who is based off of Lionheart.
Mayor Lionheart.
Yeah, that's why he has that name. So I'm excited for a sequel to that. Yeah, I think animated. I really was imagining old animated.
Disney. It's got to be. That would be
old
Disney.
Nuts. Could you imagine trying to come out with a movie in this day and age?
Right.
I know. I'm saying that as kind of like a bad thing because I don't know if people would go see it.
I would.
Well, I know you would. And I know I would.
Well, there we go.
But
they've got 2 tickets. They've got $22 from each of us.
That's true. Take my monies. Why is it so expensive to go to movies?
I know.
I
think animated old Disney, and honestly, I think a lot of people would go see it.
Would you want it?
A lot of people would go see it because of the old Disney.
Is this going to be more family?
I mean, more kind of a family-friendly.
You don't want PG-13 Sword in the Stone?
No.
Darn, I was really hoping for...
That'd be fun, but no. I'm thinking, PG, like a hard PG. Like it's got some heavy topics and stuff.
Gaston stabs the beast.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is the blood would like go away the next thing. I don't know if you've noticed in most Disney movies, you see blood.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
And then it's gone the next scene. Like the beast is dying, he has got a giant hole, but there's no blood. You're like, okay, Tarzan gets scraped by the panther, but then the next scene is gone. Sorry, leopard.
Yeah.
They're all the same.
That's panthers and leopards are not the same.
What? I thought they were. Panthers,
They're
leopards.
very similar.
Panthers, leopards, cougars, and
They're all very similar.
I thought they were all
Not.
technically like the same. And mountain lions. I thought they were all technically like
Mountain lions and cougars are the same.
yeah. And then oh no, panthers. I thought panthers and leopards were the same. Technically.
No, they're a little different.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They are different. They're very similar,
Okay.
but that's
Okay. I'll trust you on that. But I don't think there's anything much more to say about this kind of rough draft of our Tale of Two Kingdoms, but I guess the only thing now is what would you like the name to be? Did you have one to decide? Did you have an idea?
I thought of a really, really cheesy
Oh
one.
gosh.
I'm sorry, but Tale of Crowns. A Tale of Crowns.
Nope. I you might say that's cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah. And tail is spelled Tail, as in
No,
a
no,
tail.
Tim, that is
Yeah,
absolutely
It's-
wonderful.
cheesy, but I think it fits.
The thing is, when you make the title of it would be tail, and the L would turn into a tail of crowns, and then on top of the crown would be the antlers.
Or the W would be the antlers.
That's true too. That's even better. Yeah, that a tail of crowns. That is no, that's wonderful.
Nailed it.
Don't think about it being cheesy.
No,
Sometimes
it is cheesy.
It is,
But it fits.
but it's clever. It's
Thanks.
wonderful. No, that's wonderful. Talking from I personally like that. I'm gonna make it that way.
Yeah.
That's the title. That's gonna be the title of the episode. So, and hopefully, I keep saying this. 2025. I do hope that we will start making these stories.
I think publishing Bergen's Bears
That will be one of the first
will
ones.
be it probably will be our first step.
So it'll be a lot of fun. But A Tale of Crowns, love it. I love it.
Good. I
think it's
too.
very well done. I think it's cute. I think we'll make up better names. But that's basically it. Just the contention, the atmosphere, and the kind of joy we feel at the end. And we know that, I want that scene to resonate as much as any of the Disney movies do when you have the characters all hugging in the end. Just that moment, the realization. I'll say this will be one of my final points. I did want to have a point where the father has Arby pinned down and he realizes it. Just something in his face, his eyes, it just screams about her. And it just hits him. This is my baby boy. This is my boy. I want him to be completely heartbroken at that first encounter, and that's what's been carrying him. That, oh my gosh, the woman I loved, we did have a child, and she hit it, and it died, and the emotions run hot for. Sometimes the people we love the most, we tend to get the most emotional with, or am I wrong?
No, you're right.
And I want that to be just tenfold. And just that moment of the realization is, what am I doing? Either he's fighting her, they're fighting each other, and they realize whatever it is. And I think the idea of them on the verge of killing each other, and then Arby just breaks in, gets past whatever he needs to, and stops them. And they just realize, they look at each other, they look at him, and they see each other in him. That's what I want to be.
He could break out of the chains and crown lock the king.
He could.
So the king is looking directly at him and then can see the queen off to the side. And then the queen is looking up at the two.
Oh, and she just sees it, and they're just like, oh. Yes. And I want him, and I don't want it to be like, oh, he's stopping him. I want him to be like the king is, angry. Oh. Yeah, I like that. I like the lock. Mm-hmm. So after the realization, and they're all kind of happy, the vizier is going to like interrupt that, and then that's where they're going to have the final fight. Is that when he's going to reveal? Maybe that's when he reveals at least that he was at least his guardian. Maybe just one vizier came in.
Yeah.
I think that would be a better place for the reveal that he was all three.
I like that.
That's why it's even funnier. And we, the audience, would know that he would be both. That he was both.
Yeah.
Or all three of them. I think that scene, though, of them fighting, and he's, beating the crap out of one of the viziers, or... No. It's just one of the viziers come in. He doesn't show him that he's the guardian until the end. So do we want to get rid of that guardian character then, like while we were planning it?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Maybe. And then the vizier will come in, and the vizier will reveal to him that he's both. Mm-hmm. He'll pull out a cloak, or at least he could do the cheap flip the cloak inside out. Mm-hmm. Like, ta-da! Okay, I think that will be a lot, because that realization would just hit, and it would be a big fight. Kind of like Quasimodo fighting Frollo. Mm-hmm. And Frollo reveals, like, I killed your mom, and you're like, whoa. That's one of my favorite Disney fight scenes. But I think that would sum it up, and you would want it to end with the awesome wrestling scene. So he's not wrestling the dad, but he's just locking.
He's wrestling the vizier.
Mm-hmm. So he stops the dad with the antler lock, or at least he's standing in front of him.
Stops the dad with the antler lock, pulls away. Maybe the vizier comes in with a crossbow and shoots the dad, and so shoots the king, and so the queen rushes over to the king to help him, and it's not a fatal wound or anything, but it's enough to take him out of the fight. And that's when Arby goes against the vizier. So and then they do the crown lock, and they can have the fight. I'm imagining it's like a traditional fight with swords. Maybe the queen tosses Arby a sword. And
oh no, he has two swords, and the king and queen both throw theirs to him, and he has both.
Yes, I like
and
that.
He's just,
and then he's I think he gets disarmed with both, uses his crown to disarm the vizier, and it's a fist fight for a little bit until they crown lock. And they're wrestling, grabbing each other, and the vizier, I'm a master of many faces as well as many fighting forms, blah, blah, blah. You're no match, And then Arby is like, yeah, I did this professionally in the underground, and, yeets him out the window.
Or he even says, like, laughing, and he goes, I taught you everything you know. Arby, there's nothing you can do that surprised me. And he goes, maybe, and just like gut punches him, and he's like, but I fight dirty, and flings him out.
Yeah, something like that.
And flings him off the edge. Yeah. And would we want him to like have the cheesy, like he's hanging on the edge? And
we don't need a Mufasa.
We don't need it. No Mufasa.
We don't need no Mufasa. No Mufasa.
No, I don't want I don't want that. I want that he's hanging. And he goes, would you really let me die? Now. We just want to, just fling him off. We don't want...
there's some quirky comeback, and then yeet.
And I don't want... I will say, I think it's just one sword they're fighting with. Mm-hmm. He picks up the one from the mother, gets disarmed, and his father flings him his, and it's just cute because he held both of his parents' weapons. So I think that'd be kind of cool. And I think it would be a cute ending, and how would you want but the legality of it all would be, cool, we have a prince. Would he just be king of both? Would they start making a kingdom in the middle? Would they make the kingdom bigger? Because they've already kind of made this.
Yeah, I think it would be this area in the middle is the new center of power, and it's just the two kingdoms. And maybe instead of that bigger distance, it's, this is the difference between Bountiful and North Salt Lake.
Okay. It's pretty
close. Like, it's not, it's several hours of a walk to get there, to get between the one and the other. But, it's
maybe
doable.
even just an hour's walk. I don't know. Just something
have you tried to walk to Foxborough from here? It takes 3.5
okay,
to 4 hours.
Fine. You're right.
It takes a long time.
You're right. Speaking of a long time, I think this was the perfect amount.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that was good, and I like this. Again, these will become full-on audio stories that you all can listen to one day.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. It is a goal. Most likely we will type these stories out, and one of us, both of us, or a cast will read them. So,
and for sure, Bergen's Bears will be published as a book.
Absolutely.
That is. I think that's my number one goal for this podcast. As a separate, that's number one. Number two is getting the reads out.
I think I agree. I do agree. Absolutely.
Bergen's Bears is just too cute.
It's too cute. Any final thoughts for them, Tim?
Not really. Just my usual. You guys have heard it before. Love each other, be kind, and honestly, just try to make the world a better place.
That's all we can ask for. Don't look for the differences, look for the similarities in people, and we'll all get along. But until next time, we'll see you later, pitches. Bye.
Goodbye.